Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yep. Welcome, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. All right. Yes, Antonio is here already. So I'm going to be adding him anytime from now. But welcome to the Lockdown Live, powered by the Voiceover Academy and hosted by myself, Sean Shobo. Right. Okay. We're going to have Antonio join us in a bit.
Hey,
Hey,
hey, hey!
how you doing, bro?
Doing great, having fun, it's
uh,
tea time over here. So
uh,
I'll share a tea with you today, my
right.
friend.
Cheers, bro.
Che-
Cheers, man.
Geniuses think alike.
hmm You know, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank God, I'm
So,
doing great.
so good to have you. I was telling my guys that, man, you wanna meet Antonio. He's a bundle of talent and a lot of, a lot of things, knowledge, wealth of experience, and all. You know,
Thank you.
um, but how's it going over there? How's Puerto Rico?
In Puerto Rico right now, we're in lockdown. I think that this is like a
Yeah.
universal theme right now. Everybody's on lockdown. Um,
Mm-hmm.
trying to bring that curve down, and control
Mm-hmm.
the spread
Yeah.
of the
Mm-hmm.
virus.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but out of all this mayhem, madness, and
Mm-hmm.
craziness that we're living right now, there's a lot of silver linings that we can
True. True.
come
Mm-hmm.
come
Mm-hmm.
with, like working on ourselves and
Right.
controlling our
Right. Right.
emotions, our thoughts, and
Mm-hmm.
doing this kind of
Things, right?
activity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
super
Like, I
important.
mean, um, we started this like last week Saturday. We had Michael from Learning Ally. We had
Yeah,
Rudy yesterday. We had Phil. It was amazing, and today we have
feel
you.
feel feel is something else, my
I'm
friend.
telling you, bro. The guy is something else.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Okay. So I mean, we have a lot of people already coming in. Um,
Right.
let me start by asking you your story. I mean, tell us your story. How did you transition into from voicing mainstream Spanish,
Uh-huh.
voiceovers to English voiceovers? Like, what is your story, especially going international with this? Mm.
Well, my my story, I'll have to tell you the short story because the long story is
Right.
very long. It's a lot of events
Mm.
coming up together in order for me to find my way and be able to do what I do today. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like when the planets align.
Mm.
I always say that I didn't choose to be a voice actor. It
Mm-hmm.
chose me.
Mm. Mm.
Um,
Mm.
and to me, the origin, it's it starts from performance poetry. I used to write
Right.
poetry, and my
Mm.
passion was actually like sharing it and reciting it and doing performances. But
Mm-hmm.
also, I come from a background of technical background,
Mm-hmm.
working audio
Right.
production ever since
Mm.
I was small. So
Wow.
growing up, I had these two dimensions that are very
Mm.
important for a voice actor today, which is the technical part
Mm.
and the performance part.
Women's part.
So
Yeah.
you
mm.
can say that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I had a like an early training you know.
Mm-hmm.
Then as I grew, I started like developing them. I started as a recording engineer, working mainly in music and music production.
Mm-hmm.
But I even though I love engineering and producing, I just wasn't able to channel all this creativity and my passion for performance. I was obviously recording and producing other people, you know, like their music. So kind of I felt like left behind. So and always I've always been like I'm a person who's always playing. I love like improvising and like I always have this attitude of play. And in the studio where I used to work at, we also used to do a lot of post-production for commercials, radio spots. And since I've always had this like engaging personality that I like to do things, and I'm always joking around. Every time they needed somebody to record something, they would, hey, Antonio, can you record this? Hey, Antonio, record that? I always said yes, you know. And one thing led to another. I started doing auditions, and then suddenly I realized, hey, I like doing this.
Right?
It's kind of fun being in the booth, you know, and bringing words into life, you know. So that's how it all started. And then I started doing auditions. And it started like locally, like everybody, you know. You have to start local and like understanding your local market. That's your niche. And suddenly I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is a very small island. So the opportunities that the local market had were kind of limited to what I wanted to do. So I started exploring other markets. And I started like in one of those pay to places. Those
websites,
and,
right?
Yeah, and then I started landing gigs. I think one of the first was in Ecuador. Then I did some stuff for the United States, until and that's how I started like learning. Like, wow, this is you're no longer like the local market. You're like a big fish in a little pond. But when you expand internationally, you become like a tadpole in an ocean.
I like that.
You know what I mean?
I like that. I like that.
Because
I like that.
yeah. It all depends on your ambitions and your vision, you know. And I had my ambitions. I wanted to keep growing, keep expanding, and push my limits. You know, experiment with other markets and learning. You know, so all this curiosity. I've always been driven by curiosity. I think that's my engine.
Same here, bro. We are truly brothers, man.
Definitely. Oh my God. So curiosity has always like driven me. That's why I've always experimented with so many different things in my life. And I've always seen voice acting, voiceovers as a multidisciplinary career craft, where you're no longer like you no longer wear one hat. You know, you have to wear multiple hats. You have to market yourself. You have to be on top of your education. You have to keep in touch with clients. You have to like develop and start like cold calling and finding prospective clients. So you have to wear a lot of hats. Also know a little bit about audio engineering, acoustics, recording yourself, and up till this day where like we have even to like self-direct ourselves, you know. And that's how that's what drives me, you know. And also this independence and autonomy of oneself, you know, to be in control of one's destiny, to write our own story, you know? Where we are the main character, you know, and we have our struggles, we have our triumphs, we have our failures, we have success. So We taste a little bit of everything, you know. So I started growing a little bit, and slowly but steadily, until the first time I remember my first national spot for the U.S. market in Spanish was for Volvo, and that's when everything changed. That's when I said, oh, this, okay,
right.
you know, the money is good, but also like I can do this. That's when I said, like, I can, yeah, I got what it takes. And I started training, you know, working with neutral Spanish, working with some accents. My English has always has, as I have my own accent. And I remember,
just like anybody from another country.
And that's a beautiful thing. I remember starting off, I was kind of like hesitant of my accent, like, you know, like I need to speak perfect English.
You know,
like,
you know, speak British or American English.
Yeah. Until I say, you know what, screw that. I'm just gonna embrace my accent because it's part of who I am. It's part of the essence. It comes from from an honest place, and instead of trying to avoid it, I started using it to create characters, to give more dimension, to use it to maybe sound different, you know, and use like certain aspects of the way that I speak, like exaggerating and using it, you know, to my favor, you know, because some people study accents. And there's some of us that already have accents. So you already have one very, very good tool in your toolbox, you know, so you might as well use it, you know. But I've been doing this like full time for at least 15 years. And in those 15 years, I've had my ups and downs, you know. Some great years, some not so great years. But I've always enjoyed what I do, you know. And when things don't go the way you want it to, it's because there's something you need to fix. Maybe you need to train a little bit more. Maybe you have to work on some like deficiencies you might have. So there's always work to do, you know. This is a never-ending craft, you know. And this is something that you do till your last day. I always joke around that I'm gonna do this until I'm like an old decrepit man, and I'm recording.
Same here, bro.
And like I'll be in the front of the microphone, and the last sound I'm going to make is going to be thunk. My head banging against the microphone as I pass into the next life.
I love that. You know, I mean, I always tell people that, you know, the voice over craft is one that you can do from the time you are a child till when you are, you know, old. It's so amazing that once you get a grip of it, you just keep going. You keep going. Yeah. Okay, so there are a lot of questions here for you.
Yes.
And I'll just go through them. One of them says most Nigerian voice talents do English voiceovers because they feel like the other languages, because we have a lot of languages in Nigeria. We have we have about 3 major languages. Just like in Puerto Rico, you guys speak English and Spanish as well. You know, so how lucrative is language-based voiceovers? So, for example, you were just talking about the Spanish voiceovers. How lucrative is that?
How lucrative? It's very lucrative. Like that's 80% of the work that I do is in Spanish.
Fantastic.
You know, and Spanish is the second most spoken language in the world after Chinese. But English may be third, but English, as you know, in a country where there's like at least like 500 languages in so many languages that still English still commercial is a commercial language, is the language of business, is the language of the internet.
Yeah.
So even if your native language, you work on, you do voiceovers in your native language. You also need to have at least, I don't know how many languages can you speak, but I speak at least 2, you know.
Yeah, I speak like maybe I speak like 3.
Yeah,
3.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's amazing. That's amazing, you know. But it's important to us as voice actors that are thinking about taking it internationally and working internationally, to be able to have as many languages as you can. But one of them is very important language is English. And I'm lucky that my native language is Spanish.
And it's very demanding.
It's a very popular language across the world. There's a lot of work for Spanish speakers. We have what we call neutral Spanish. If you're going to work internationally as a voice actor in Spanish, there's you have to work on neutralizing your language in a way where
everyone can understand.
Exactly.
Right.
And there's certain, it can happen in English as well. There's like American English, British English, and there's I think the like a neutral English. Yeah, transatlantic. So it's called something like that. I know a couple people like they actually specialize in that. But I can tell you that never abandon your native language. Because that's your specialty.
Right.
But also work and try to get yourself out of that comfort zone by working on other languages as well. It's every tool you can add to your toolbox, you know, go for it, you know, as much as you can, you know.
Fantastic. Okay, the next one says, do you often scout for voice talents for your personal projects? And if yes, what will be your criteria for picking a voice talent for your work? What are the things that you look out for, basically?
I think I cannot say there's one thing I look for first, but there's two main things that go in parallel. The talent and the preparation the actor, the artist has, and the infrastructure and ability to record from a distance. That is, if I am doing like a casting or a production where I need people from afar, from different places, other countries. Because you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have a proper space to record in, maybe we cannot collaborate. You know? When I work locally, I produce a lot of radio spots and TV spots locally here. I bring them here to my studio, because I rather have them here in my studio and record them here physically, and like have them here and like give them direction and like old school, you know. That's why my studio is a little bit different in comparison to other voice actors.
Yeah, I've seen you. I saw your studio on your website, man. Massive, bro.
Yeah, check it out. I'm gonna switch this is the studio.
Yeah, wow.
And I am this is the amazing, I am in the client's perspective. That's Lionel, the lion, my pet lion over there.
Wow.
And behind that is the booth where the magic happens. But I think universally, like the preparation and the commitment a talent has, the passion, it's key, you know. And you can tell when people are working on their craft, you know, when they are training and educating themselves, and you can tell, you know. So yeah, those would be my
talent. talent and preparation, you know, especially preparation, because I always tell people, one thing I've noticed is that a lot of times we have so much talent, especially people that graduate from the academy. We have so much talent, but a lot of times we find out that people do not practice. There's no time. They just, you know, they go to sleep. So when they are called for a job or when they're called to do something, they're like, uh-oh, what is going on? You know, they begin to, they're not sure of themselves, you know, which is what I think is very important. You said preparation, and that's I think that is even much more important than talent, you know.
It's daily. It's like if you're a boxer, if you're a fighter. I had this friend of mine who was a boxer. We were watching this fight back in the day, and he told and he said something that sticks to me till this day. He said, Antonio, where is the fight won? Where do you win the fight? And I was like, where do you win the fight? You know, in the ring, you know, in your preparation, in your training. If the fight is going to go 12 rounds, you need to train 24, 30 rounds. Every day. You know? And it also strengthens your mind as well. So when time comes that you are in front of the microphone and you have clients on the other side of the glass or the other side of the world, if you're not strong mentally and you're comfortable with yourself and you have confidence, you're gonna have a hard time, because there's then doubt starts creeping into your mind. So in order to triumph over self-doubt and all this, you know, attitudes that are not conducive to expanding in your craft and becoming a better artist, it's you have to practice, you have to train, you have to get out of your comfort zone, you know. And that's the only way to grow, the only way. And you have to have this student mentality for the rest of your career.
Fantastic.
Because once you feel that you have mastered something, life always, at least in my experience, when I feel like I dominate something, that I control something, that I am on top of it, I am an expert at last, life finds a way of pulling the rug out of my feet, and I fall to a precipice. So I'm always very conscious and very present in where I am and what point I am, so I can make the proper adjustments. It's like I remember when I used to record music. Once, something that I was always stressing when I was in controlling and like taking care of a session was for the musicians to tune their instruments. Because we would do like a couple takes of a song. I would stop. Hey guys, like tune the guitars. Oh, but I already tuned it like 2 songs ago. Doesn't matter. Just check the tuning. Check the tuning, baby. You know, because there's so many like ways that you can get out of tune. So you need to tune yourself also as a voiceover artist, especially when we work with such like interesting, complex instruments, which is our voice.
Our voice, exactly.
You know, I remember when I started off, I was a one-trick pony. I could only do the Young Reed commercial stuff. That was the only thing I do. And it's okay. You start somewhere. Exactly. And then as I started developing, I could go a little bit lower in my register. I could go a little bit higher. I could like modulate differently. Then I started exploring other genre, like not only commercial. I was also like doing narration. So there's so much to do that, and the only way to taste is to get yourself like moving, develop a momentum, and embrace an attitude of training, of educating yourself constantly and practicing, you know, and discipline. Discipline.
Yeah, discipline is very key.
Yeah, discipline. It's everything, especially now, in these times where you need to, where we're like enclosed and on lockdown, and it takes a tax psychologically. You have to be mentally strong. So discipline helps a lot in order to develop a structure, you know, a plan, you know. And yeah, man, always keep practicing. Doesn't matter if you've been doing this for a year or 20 years.
20 years.
Keep working.
Keep the grind. Keep grinding. You know.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you, right? What would you say? I mean, about the industry now with this COVID-19 crisis, would you say that it's going to be more in demand? Because I feel it will be. I feel it will be, from my studies and my research. I feel that like the demand for voiceover talents are going to go higher. You know, but what is your thought on that?
Well, everything is changing so fast, like faster than I could have ever imagined. Having a studio or a space to record in, be it a mobile booth, a corner in your house, your closet, or a studio, it's no longer a luxury for the voice actor. It's a necessity. And I have a lot of friends that are amazing, talented. They work a lot every day, but they were not ready because they didn't have a studio or a place to recording, or it wasn't as developed as it should be, because you know, we don't pay attention sometimes to stuff, you know, until we have reality on our face where we see, oh my God, the house is flooding. I have to get this water. So you don't want to wait until your house is flooded with water to take care of stuff you need to do. Right. So that's one thing that is definitely changing right now, that you need a studio, especially if and this is not new. This is not new. This is something that if you work internationally, you have to have your own studio. You have to. That's it. But when you work in big markets like the United States, people still like go to studios physically, and that's no longer an option. So that has changed. That's big time. Casting directors in big markets are also starting to acknowledge talents that are in other places, you know, in other markets, but have the capacity to record from afar. That's also changing. Like the culture generally is also changing as well, from the perspective of the client and a casting director and a director and a producer. Right. So that favors those of us who have been working this way for such a long time. For a long time. That we understand what it takes to work from. I live in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, it's a small market, but I like throughout the years I've been able to work with great clients and develop great relationships, because I see my local market as my niche, but my market is a global market. Yeah. You know? So we have to change our view of the world and not see it as such a big place, you know. It's a big place, but you know I mean, it's so interesting that you're saying this, because I've always said it, because I mean I've been doing voiceovers for years before the academy started, and one thing I always told people was we need to do it different, because I mean we have people doing it for years. They've been doing it for years, but it's still been the same. It's still been at the same place, you know. No, the market wasn't growing. People were just doing it for doing sake, you know. And this thing is a professional thing that people do all over the world, that actually is people's professions, you know. Especially if it depending on how professional they are about it.
you know, so I decided, you know what, this thing has to go global. You know, we need to start letting people know about the African markets. You know, because a lot of people, even South Africa, that is more established in terms of their market there, nobody's really telling the world that, hey, Africa is here too. You know, so I decided to make sure that I make that happen, and that is how we are training people at the academy, telling them, you know,
that is amazing. That is, that's the proper attitude. It's like you have your agenda of putting West Africa on the map, of putting Lagos on the map, of putting Nigeria on the map. You know, it's the same thing. I see it at the same way here in Puerto Rico.
Right, right. And you're doing that so well. And you're doing that so well.
Yeah, where it doesn't matter where you come from. It's how you can conduce yourself, how professional you are.
Exactly.
And how passionate you're about what you do, and you develop a commitment with something bigger than yourself. That's why it's so important to create a sense of community.
Right.
And returning to the question, how things are changing. Look at what we're doing right now. You're like how many hours of difference? I think it was like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Here is like 11:30 in Puerto Rico. Over there's got to be like 4:30 p.m. I'm like basically starting my day. You're like on the other side of the clock, you know. So we have all these tools in our disposal, technology, and we can use it as a window to opportunity to other places. You know, like you can see a little bit of my world, I can see a little bit of your world, and see that in our differences, in our so little, there's so much we have in common. And another thing that comes to mind about voice acting in general, there's so many concepts and that are universal. Either if you speak French, if you speak Spanish, English, Italian, Japanese, Chinese, whatever, there's certain aspects that are universal, like creating characters, like vocal training. You know, that's universal. That's you know, it translates to every language, because in the end we're all human beings. The differences are that well, I speak this way, I have this accent, you know. So that's the way I see it. There's a lot of things happening and changing, and we got to be on top of it and develop like a sense of what's going to happen next, and keep our ear on the ground to hear how far is the train. You know, you can hear the train coming. Okay, get ready, because here it comes. You know. So yeah, man.
So what would you say? What are the ideal tools that you need in your home studio? Say somebody's working here, and I mean, from your, as an audio producer, an award-winning audio producer, what are the basic things that you think a voice talent should have in their studio? Probably, even if you can give us brands, we don't mind.
Man, to me, it all starts with acoustics when it comes to the technical part. You know, the talent already is a trained talent who has worked on his craft, you know. But now when we're talking about his space where he's going to work, his workspace, you gotta have proper acoustics even before you think about buying an expensive microphone.
True.
The other day I was doing a Q&A, like a round table about audio as well. And I said the same thing. I rather have a well-treated room space with a cheap microphone, with a less expensive microphone, than a place where
an expensive microphone with a place that is not well treated.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So to me, acoustics is number one. Then you need to have an interface. You need to have a microphone,
an audio interface. So are you saying that the audio the USB microphones aren't as ideal? what is the difference between the USB microphones and the ones with the interface? You know, the sound cards that we normally use. What is the difference in production?
It can all boil down to quality and features. For example, let me get my microphone. I got a microphone here to show you.
That's fine, bro.
Check it out. So this is a USB microphone. This is an Apogee mic.
Right, Apogee, yeah.
This is a very good. This is a very good USB microphone. You know,
very good. Yeah.
But in this little space, it's good for like I use it when I travel for all the stuff when I have to travel light. I keep it close to me. But when I travel for longer day, like weeks, you know, I take my interface with my microphone with the whole. I have like two traveling setups. This is the travel light setup, and the other one is like the medium version of it. But for example, this is a USB microphone. It connects to my phone. It connects to my laptop. Even it connects to even my toaster in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So, but even though it's great, it doesn't compare to a combination of let's say a Scarlett interface with Audio-Technica Rode microphone, like individually, because when here you have a microphone, you have a preamplifier, you have a converter, you have a headphone amplifier, you have so many components in such a small package that it's very, very difficult for this to compare to the real thing,
with an interface.
To an interface. And plus, when you get yourself an interface, for example, if that microphone gets damaged for a certain reason, like the whole thing is damaged. If my interface gets damaged, well, I exchange the interface and buy a new one or fix it. I still have my microphone. So you have independence of your front end of your microphone and the rest of your equipment. And so if you're in this for the long run, invest in your space, in your workspace. Invest in if you're starting out I don't know how what kind of brands you can get over there, like in terms of equipment. But
well, I mean one of the things we can do is also we can order from Amazon. The ways you can buy these things. For example, there's an audio engineer here that also uses Apogee. He's an Apogee like evangelist, always talking about Apogee. He lectures at our academy as well. One of our faculty chiefs. So Apogee, I know of that. I just wanted to hear from your professional point of view.
Apogee is a great brand, and I use it all the time. My main interface here in the studio is an Apogee Ensemble. And, and it's been with me like for it's Firewire, so it's kind of old, but it still works. It works exactly. Perfect, it does its job, but that you don't have to break the bank in order to get yourself some good equipment. And like I always say, the best microphone you can have is the one you already have. So what I mean is, like, know your instrument. Do the best you can with what you have. Because we sometimes we have to find a happy medium when we are about to make an investment in our career, in our work and what we do. You don't, if you're starting out, don't get crazy and go buy like the most expensive microphone or let it grow. Let it grow with you. Same thing happens with the studio. This is like the fourth version of my studio that I have. And it has been growing with me ever since I started. I started out without a studio. Then I understood that I needed a space, so I created like a little area in my house. And that's where I recorded. Then I was able to move into a bigger place, and I had a separate room, and it's been like evolving ever since I started out. You know, you don't. So the same thing happens with our equipment. If you right now, if you can afford a USB microphone, it's perfect. There are great options out there. Apogee, Audio Technica, Rode, many options. If
some people even start with their phones. Some people start with their phones.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, back when I was younger, I'm still young, but back when I was more like this is like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I used to write hip hop, rap music. I used to rap.
Right.
And the first recordings I did was with the headphone.
Wow.
I used to connect the headphone into the microphone input and record through the headphone.
Right. Yes.
Oh man, that was a crazy time. Yeah. So and when you let things evolve naturally, organically, you understand things better. That you know, because you have run through all the bases, you know.
Exactly. So you know what works and doesn't work, you know.
Yeah, you have to try stuff out, you know. And when making investments, just try to be as realistic as you can, you know. Something that makes sense in what point you are, but at the same time, something that allows you to expand, because you don't want technology to limit yourself. Technology is there for the opposite reason, to open doors, to open windows, and be able to do other stuff that you didn't do before, you know. So be present, but at the same time work towards your future, you know. Career wise, like with technology, like developing your studio everywhere you can, you know. But
so I was gonna ask, right? Let's take it to softwares now. What softwares do you naturally? I know. I mean, everybody has different softwares, but for a rookie, what are the kind of softwares you naturally just advise them to use? That's one. Number two, we're not going to talk about your awards, your Grammys, you know, your Grammys and the SOVAS. You know, how did it feel winning those awards? You know, because I mean that's massive, man. The Grammy is a massive award.
Well, let's get the awards out of the way. 2007, I recorded an amazing album. It was a rock and roll album from some local artists from Puerto Rico. They were called Black Guayaba. It's a rock band.
Right.
And that was their sophomore album, their second album. And they got nominated to the Grammy, and we were like, what? Yeah. And we won. We won. It was crazy. It was so cool. And it was very early in my career, you know. It was like, oh my God. Okay. It was kind of reassuring.
Yeah, it was kind of reassuring. I can imagine.
Because it told me, hey, you're doing something right.
Exactly.
But at the same time, you cannot let awards define you.
Right.
What defines you is the work you put in every day when nobody's watching you.
Well said.
An award is kind of like a cherry on top, you know, like okay, here you go, a cherry. And the SOVAS was very special as well. I remember that it was 2017. I had 7 nominations that year, and we won 3 of them. And the 3 that won, I used to have this company that demo producing company, was called Demon Demos, with my good friend Simon Fogiel. She's a very talented Uruguayan voice actress. She's in Florida. And we put together this company called Demon Demos, and we used to produce demos specifically for Hispanic talent, Spanish speaking talent. And we submitted some demos to compete in the SOVAS, And I remember it was Gabriel Sangenes demo, Adriana Serna's demo, and Nikki Mondellini. Two commercial demos and one narration demo, and we won. And I remember like sitting there in the seat, and when the names were called, it was a beautiful thing, not only for ourselves as producers, but also for the talent. These were talents that were starting to expand their universe, their voiceover universe, from their local markets. Gabriel from Argentina, Adriana Serna from Colombia. So it was their moment. And when we saw them walk downstairs to get their awards for the demos that we produced, that we like pushed in order to get them in the competition, in the awards, it was very good, because not only we felt proud of the work we were doing, the quality of work we were doing, but also we were able to help these talents get known, and help them in their journey as well.
Expand their market as well.
Yeah. So when you win an award, you don't win it by yourself. It's teamwork. Doesn't matter if you're one person, because when we get somewhere, we get there because of the work we've put in, how much we've trained, and in order to learn, we need teachers. We have mentors, we have teachers, we have coaches. So we are accompanied by all these people that have been in our lives, that have like positively affected us. So those awards were a beautiful thing. But at the end of the day, you cannot let it define you. You know, it's a great thing to get together and celebrate our craft.
Exactly.
And it's very important as well to be celebrated, because you have to celebrate life every day. And as the same way we celebrate life every day, we have to celebrate our craft, our art as well, and get together with our people, you know, and that's very beautiful. And what Joan and Rudy have accomplished is a beautiful thing, you know, and I support them all the way. So it's I think it's great. It's great, but you have to work every day. You have to wake up, and when nobody's watching you, you know, that's what defines you. The decisions you make in your daily life, it's what develops your character. You know, because everything starts from within. You cannot conquer the world if you haven't conquered yourself. So everything starts from inside, man. And knowing yourself, and in the process of knowing yourself, you know the world, you know life. So that's to me, that's the logic behind
the awards itself.
And software.
Software. So let me tell you something about softwares, and I want you to please emphasize on this, because you know, a lot of times over here, you know, we have people that crack softwares a lot, right? With all due respect, you know, but that is it's a terrible thing, you know, especially when you want to do international work, you know. So I want you to talk about the essence of also getting very quality software, original software. That's very important. I want you to emphasize on that as well.
It's important to it's if you're a plumber, if you work, you consider yourself a professional, you can borrow tools, but in the long run, you have to buy your own tools.
Right.
You have to have your own tools. And when you're starting out, there's free options out there that you can use. Like the real thing, you know, you got to be careful with that, because cracked software can be dangerous, not only because of what's going on, you know, like but also because it's not as reliable as a proper piece of software that you have. It's not as reliable, and you don't want to be in a session and suddenly the software craps on you and goes blank, and you don't want that to happen. Oh my God, yeah. So I encourage you to make the proper investments as you go along, and keep everything honest, you know. That's the way to go.
And most of these software companies, actually, they monitor these things, you know. And that's what people don't know. They monitor these things, you know.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
Yeah.
And nowadays everything is so interconnected. You know,
exactly.
Social media, you can get like, if you follow Avid or Pro Tools webpage, and you have a cracked version, you just keep it honest, you know, simplify your life if you can, and keep it honest, you know. And the software, like which software you choose, it all depends on your needs, you know. What are your needs in terms of features as a voice actor? For example, I work with Pro Tools,
right?
But I've been working with Pro Tools like since 2004. So I like Pro Tools to me is like second nature. Like I work telepathically, like, and you know, so it's just the tool that I chose a long time ago. But I also understand other software, like I use Nuendo, I use Cubase, Logic, Digital Performer. I can use any kind of software.
Adobe Audition, right?
Audition, yeah. There's SoundForge. There is Audacity, which is free.
Audacity.
If you're starting out.
I always tell people that Audacity is free. Yeah, you can always start with that.
Yeah, if you're starting out and you need like a simple piece of software that works and will work for you if you just want to record and do simple edits, Audacity will work just fine.
That's it.
Yeah, if you are, well, I'm doing a little bit of production, like mixing it with music. Well, you have to expand a little bit further and maybe work with Audition, or even GarageBand works for that reason.
Right.
You know, for that. You know, in the end, what's important is that you understand the software you're using. You are in. So that's it. You know, because all pieces of software do the same thing. They all record. They are all digital. You know. Well, what changes are the features, and the features depend on your needs as a voice actor.
Right.
Whether you record in Audacity or you record in Pro Tools, it's just fine. You know, that's not going to define your success as a voice actor. You know, maybe when things get a little bit complicated and you're doing remote sessions with studios and maybe they get picky, or they might ask you, oh, what kind of software you're using, so just so they know if they need like a session sent to them, or a compatibility issue, or but that's in the end, it all boils down on your needs as a voice actor, and what you can afford, and the features you're looking for, you know. Right.
Wow, we have a lot of questions here that we're not even taking. Okay, I'm going to take this from Puerto Rico. Somebody from Puerto Rico sent us a question. His name is Mauricio. Am I correct?
Mauricio, yeah.
Mauricio. He says, how do I put myself out there to Latin American dubbing crews if I have only done corporate and commercial work in Puerto Rico? You know.
Well, dubbing is a very localized I don't know if people here know what dubbing is. Everybody understands dubbing?
Yeah, like ADRs, basically.
Exactly. When for example, we have a Disney movie in English, and we're going to like give it do the Spanish version of it.
Exactly.
So those are very localized markets, where most of the talent that are working as dub actors, they work locally, either in Mexico or in Colombia, or Miami as well, when we and Los Angeles as well, when we speak about dubbing from English to Spanish. So there are tools that you can have that are being developed to be able to facilitate the process of dubbing from a distance. But it's going to change. It's changing rapidly right now as we speak, because of the reality we're going through right now. So all this is affecting the dubbing industry. Dubbing is an industry, you know, just like video games, just like TV, radio. Those are like industries and genres that we work on and we specialize on. Here in Puerto Rico, there's so little dubbing work you can do. You know, there used to be an industry back in the 50s, 60s, but it moved to Mexico, you know, because of certain reasons, you know, that like economically wise, like financially wise, and like in big companies relocating, you know, stuff like that. But if you're planning on becoming or experimenting or trying out dubbing as a Spanish voice actor, you have to go train where the professionals train, and that is either Colombia or Mexico. You know, there's an incredible academy in Colombia ran by Isa Junca. She's an amazing professional and an amazing coach. She's incredible. And just if curiosity is driving you there, move. Just travel, go visit, get in contact with them, you know, and talk to people. If that is your passion. Just as us as voice actors as well, now I think every professional voice actor should also like start looking into performance capture as well. Because the video game industry, it's only getting bigger right now. It kind of stalled and everything's frozen right now because performance capture depends a lot on you being physically present there, you know. But it's the same thing with voice acting. Back in the day, 20 years ago, the technology wasn't as available as now, you know, but it's only a matter of time that we can, the technology is there that you can work from, you have your own space to work and do certain captures, you know. There's like facial expressions that you can do from distance, but you know, always like the limits are in your head. You know, just if you can think of it, if you think of, you can do anything you want, you know. You just have to work for it. You just have to, like, if dubbing is your thing, well, go to the place where the best coaches are. If you want to do performance capture, you got go to LA, go to Toronto, go to England, you know, where the professionals are, you know, work with them. Yeah.
Oh wow. So much wisdom, right?
we can go for hours, man.
I'm telling you. I mean, Instagram is even telling us we have 1 minute remaining. Okay, so probably we'll have to come back again. He says, as an audio engineer, what inspires you? You know, do you watch any special content for inspiration? Movies, podcasts, music?
Music, baby. I listen to music every day. I wake up with music, and it just music to me is medicine, just like laughter, you know. Music just takes me places, reminds me of people, reminds me of experiences. It's just it's medicine. It's a spiritual connection, not only and also as As a fan of audio, I like listening to mixes. Oh my god, that mix is so interesting. The way they mixed a violin, or the guitar, or the stereo image in a mix, or the